we're out with Zuzi now. He's getting a bit of a break from being at home with Bella and the smells. So Bella's just about hitting peak season now, so she's smelling very interesting, very nice. And then unfortunately Zuzi is not destined to be her partner, so he's not allowed. Which unfortunately means he's getting a little bit worked up at home when he can smell her. There's a lot of crying and ridiculous turkey noises going on. Thankfully we're very lucky with Zeus that he's only really bothered on the few days that it matters. So a lot of people think when a bitch is in season, they're just in season and they can get pregnant at any point, and you know, boys will want them all the time. Now, to be fair, some boys, they are. As the second a girl comes into season, they're a little bit like a dog possessed. But generally sensible dogs and dogs that have mated before especially, very often will only really be interested in the few days where their hormones have surged, their eggs are released, and they're ready to actually be pregnant. So the way a hormone cycle in dogs works is you get your proestrus, which is where you'll notice your dog first starts bleeding. Their vulvas will swell up, they're going to get a spike in estrogen, which starts the whole cycle off. They can get a bit sort of needy and clingy at this point, and they're generally quite happy with their own company. They're not usually so fussed about other dogs. If a male was to approach them at this point in the heat, they'd probably tell them to get lost, and probably not very nicely either. So that's how the first part starts. Some dogs don't bleed at all, so it can be difficult to know. Zuzi, this way, Mum. It's like I can smell Bella weed here, so I'm gonna lick it and dribble like a weirdo. And this is how dogs obviously can tell all of these changes are happening. You can see there Zeus is having a real good sniff and lick, and you see his little lips are going, and he's like, then he's gonna slobber a little bit now when he gets up. Come on Daisy, let's go. Good boy. Because he can smell in Bella's urine that she's at that point in her season now where he should be interested in her. But as I was saying, a lot of dogs, especially for the first season, sometimes won't bleed. So you get what's called a silent heat. You might not know that they're in season at all. So it's important to be keeping an eye on things, especially if your dog's getting around to the age where you think they should be having their first season. So that usually lasts around 12 to 14 days, but it varies greatly between dogs. Some dogs can finish that stage at 5 or 6 days. Some dogs it can go on for 20 days. It varies, so it's really important to be keeping an eye on your dog's behaviour. The next bit you get obviously in the season is the estrus. This is where the estrogen goes down and the progesterone goes up, and the bleeding will generally slow or stop, and you'll get like a creamy straw coloured kind of discharge instead. And this is when they're ready for babies now. So they have a surge in the luteinizing hormone, which stimulates egg release. So a couple of days after that happens, their eggs get released and they're ready for fertilization. And this is where your sensible boys, suddenly it's like a switch has gone and they're like, oh my God, I need that girl right now. Because they know it's time. They know this is the point where, they're going to make the babies. Because before now, if they'd mated, there's a very good chance they wouldn't, because the sperm will only survive inside a dog for a maximum of about 5 days, and then it dies off. So if the eggs haven't been released by then, or the eggs have been released and they've gone because they're too late, then it's a big waste of energy. And for a sensible dog, and for most male dogs especially, they're lazy and they want to conserve energy, so they're not going to waste it on something that's not going to be fruitful for them. So once all of that's happened, you then go through the metaestrus. And it's the same for a dog that's been mated as a dog that hasn't been. So the hormones actually go through the same cycle, which is why you can get phantom pregnancies in dogs that haven't been mated, because the hormones are still telling the body to do the same kinds of things. There's just nothing there to actually support and send nutrition to and things like that. So you get the progesterone levels off, and that's what maintains the pregnancy, whereas in humans the progesterone would actually drop when you're pregnant. So it's different between dogs and humans, but that's what maintains their pregnancy. Now the pregnancy usually lasts for 63 days, do apologise. So around 9 weeks, and you then obviously get your puppies born. What then happens is you get your anoestrus, and that's the time in between your seasons. Now with our lupines, I mean my guys at home I found it's about 12 months, they cycle yearly, but a lot of dog breeds will have multiple seasons a year. You know, quite often they'll have them at 2 a year, some breeds even have 3 or 4, so it's important to know your genetics with your breed, and know when you're expecting the next one, because it's easy to get caught out. So there's a lot to learn when it comes to breeding. A lot of it's very sciencey based. There's a very, very good book I'd recommend for anybody who's just starting to get interested in it, which is called The Book of the Bitch, and that gives you a lot of information there, but there's tons and tons of more information out there. And obviously the best thing you can do with everything else is get a mentor. My mentors when I first had my first litter were absolutely invaluable. I still, you know, talk to them now. They're absolutely wonderful, and they will help you through lots and lots and lots of different situations that can occur when you're breeding. Sissy, good boy. Come on, you goofy doof. Yeah, he's a good boy.